So guys, a lot of you have been asking me to do this. I know I said I was going to do this on Friday, but I'm deciding to release today. I want to watch the Final Four games just to see if it changed anything, and honestly, it didn't. So in this video, we're going to be doing a 2018 mock draft, pretty much post NCAA championship. And to be honest, I don't think that the tournament really made much of a difference. There's only one player in my top 10 list, which is what I'm going to be covering in this video. I'm going to be talking about the top 10 and also one or two players that I think are going to be absolute steals in this draft. But anyway, before this video starts, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are currently on 51,000 subscribers and we are trying to hit 100,000 by the end of the year. And if you guys have any ideas for videos, follow me on Instagram. A link will be in the description. Send me a message on there. I reply to almost all of them. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. So as I already said, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 picks, and we're going to be doing it based on the current records in the NBA. So I know that this isn't going to be the order of the draft, and I will do another mock draft probably as soon as the draft lottery is done, and I might do one final one a couple of days before the draft, after the combine, after all the players have worked out, and the last one right before the draft is going to be more so a prediction than anything else. So as of right now, the number 1 overall pick belongs to the Phoenix Suns. And I'm going to go with the general consensus and say that the Phoenix Suns are going to take DeAndre Ayton. People that may get taken number 1 are Ayton, Bagley, and Doncic. They already have Booker, who plays the same position as Doncic. They've got Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris, who while neither of them have shown superstar potential, they've both been okay, and Bender has been a lot better this season, and they did draft both of them 2 years ago to be probably their 2 power forwards for the future, so I can't see them taking another power forward here. So DeAndre Ayton is the clear choice. DeAndre Ayton is physically as good a prospect as I've ever seen. He can shoot the ball a little bit. While I don't see him being a knockdown three-point shooter, he'll shoot it well enough that teams won't be able to leave him wide open from out there. He can block shots, he can play inside, he can run the floor. And while I honestly don't see superstar potential, even though a lot of people do, I think that Ayton is going to probably be an all-star and will be a great NBA player. Franchise changing, I don't really see it, but you just never know. The second pick as of right now belongs to the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think that with the second pick, the Grizzlies are going to take Marvin Bagley III from Duke. Marvin Bagley probably has as high a ceiling, if not the highest ceiling in this draft. He's honestly the player that I would take number 1 no matter what team if I was an NBA GM, but I can't see the Suns passing on DeAndre Ayton. Marvin Bagley has got elite quickness. He can shoot. He's one of the best offensive rebounders I've seen in college. He's a good shot blocker. He's an elite athlete. One big problem with Bagley is that he's very left-handed, doesn't have much of a right hand. But the thing is, most left-handed players don't really have a right hand. It's not that much of a disadvantage, especially because of how much more difficult it is to guard a left-handed player. So I don't think that's much of a problem for Marvin Bagley. I honestly think that if he goes to the Grizzlies, he could be franchise-changing and turn them immediately from, with Conley healthy, probably 8 to 10 in the West. I can see them honestly competing for a top 4 seed in the Western Conference next year if they can get everyone healthy, and if Marvin Bagley is as good as I think he's going to be from the get-go for the Grizzlies. As of right now, the third pick belongs to the Atlanta Hawks. And this is the first of probably 2 very surprising picks. I think that they're going to take Michael Porter. Michael Porter was expected to be either the number 1 or the number 2 pick going into this year, but got injured and missed almost the entire year, came back and played a few games and didn't really show too much. He honestly wasn't great when he came back. But Michael Porter is a hard player to pass up on. If he had came straight from high school, he probably would have been the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft. Michael Porter is a tall wing. He can shoot the ball, he can score, he plays a bit of defense, he can rebound, and he's tough. Michael Porter could end up being a superstar in the NBA, and even though right now it doesn't look like he's bounced back from the injuries, I think he'll have a couple of very good workouts before the draft, and I can see him going right back up to almost around where he was before he got hurt, being a top 3 to 5 pick in this draft. So according to record, the Orlando Magic own the 4th pick, and this is one that I think is probably a little bit out there, this prediction. The Orlando Magic have got Nikola Vucevic, and they've also got Aaron Gordon, who are probably going to be their starting 4 and 5 for a while, and they seem kind of content with that. A lot of people would think, okay, they're going to take Luka Doncic, but I don't see that happening. In 2015, there was a European guard who everyone thought was going to go straight into the NBA and be a great scorer, and that was Mario Hezonja. The Orlando Magic used their top 5 pick on Hezonja, and until the last couple of weeks, after they declined their 4th-year option for Hezonja, he was looking like a bust. For 2.5 years, he looked like a bust, and I can't see the Orlando Magic risking another top 5 pick on a European prospect. So with the number 4 pick, because they need a point guard after trading away Elfrid Payton, I'm predicting the Orlando Magic take Colin Sexton from Alabama. Yep, I think Colin Sexton could end up being a top 4 pick. Colin Sexton has shown flashes in college of being an elite player, and he's shown flashes of being a top 5 pick. A lot of people think he could be a top 5 pick. He can shoot a little bit, he can score, he can play defense, he's active on that end of the floor. And while it seems kind of out there when you look at the rest of the talent, I don't think it's that crazy a pick. You take out Doncic and every other player in the top 10 is in a position that they already have kind of nailed on. So they're drafting based on need. I think they take Colin Sexton with this 4th pick. The 5th pick belongs to the Dallas Mavericks. What Mark Cuban says is anything to judge by. I think the Mavs are going to be tanking for the next couple of years. So I think with the 5th pick, they take the guy who's more than likely going to be a project but has arguably the highest ceiling in this draft, and they take Mo Bamba from Texas. He's 7 foot with like a 7'10" wingspan. He could be an elite shot blocker in the NBA. Mo Bamba's also shown glimpses of having a decent outside game, having a decent offensive game. He's nowhere near as polished as really anyone else in the top 10, but if Mo Bamba can get it together, and I think on a rebuilding Dallas Mavericks team, he's got a great coach in Rick Carlisle. The Dallas Mavericks is a great franchise, and even without the ability to attract big free agents, they were in the playoffs pretty much every year until last year, in the last decade. The Dallas Mavericks is a great franchise, and I think they will take Mo Bamba if he's still on the board when they're picking, especially if it is around the 5. So the 6th pick belongs to Sacramento Kings, and I think that whether the Kings have pick number 1 or wherever they are, if this guy's still on the board, they take him. And it's Luka Doncic. No way is Vlade Divac passing up on Luka Doncic. Pairing up Luka Doncic with Bogdan Bogdanovic, pairing up 2 Europeans with each other, could be scary. The 2 of these guys are both elite shooters. You've got De'Aaron Fox. You've got Doncic who'll be able to take a bit of the ball handling responsibility off De'Aaron Fox. Or Doncic, if he goes at 6, will be the steal of this draft, or will look like the steal of this draft initially anyway, because Doncic is NBA ready. Doncic, I would not be surprised if he's an all-star in his first year in the NBA. He's physically huge for a just gone 19-year-old. And while his ceiling is nowhere near as high as any of the players that have been picked ahead of him, and even a few players that were picked lower than him, I think Luka Doncic is going to be a multiple-time All-Star, and you pair him, Bogdanovic, with De'Aaron Fox, they might draw in 1 or 2 good free agents to Sacramento, and you just never know. The Kings could be a solid team, and maybe even be a dark horse for the 8th seed next year in the playoffs. So the Cleveland Cavaliers have the 7th pick, and honestly, they could get the steal of the draft as well. I know I said it was Doncic, but Jaren Jackson Jr. could be the steal of this draft, which, if he's still on the board for Cleveland, they're going to take him at 7. Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best shot blockers in college, as well as shooting around 40% from 3 and 50% from the field. A shot blocking floor spacer. I don't think there could be a better fit for a LeBron James-led team. However, if LeBron James does leave, Jaren Jackson still has the potential to be a great player. His footwork's nice inside, he's a good post player, he's good outside, he can block shots. A lot of people think that he could go top even 3 in this draft, and he falls to 7 to Cleveland. He'll be the perfect player to play with LeBron, and even without LeBron will be a great pick. The 8th pick belongs to the Chicago Bulls, and I think Chicago Bulls are fairly convinced that Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and Markkanen are a future Big 3. And to be honest, they might be right. And you've got those 3 stars, and there's a perfect player for this team left on the board. So I think the Chicago Bulls draft Mikal Bridges with the 8th overall pick. Bridges is one of the best 3-and-D guys in college basketball, one of the best defenders. He's 6'7", so he's got decent height, and he can play at the 3. Is also a knockdown shooter, shooting around 40% from 3, and has already been a part of a good team and shown that he can be a great team player with Villanova. Bridges is NBA ready right now, and I think he could be a great fit with the Chicago team, and honestly, this Chicago team could be competing for a playoff spot in the next year or 2, especially if they sign even 1 big free agent this year. So pick number 9 belongs to the New York Knicks, and I honestly can't see them not picking Trae Young unless they have a top 3 or 4 pick, because obviously 9 years ago they missed out on Steph Curry. I can see them drafting Trae Young. I can see them hiring Mark Jackson as their coach after firing Jeff Hornacek. And I can see New York thinking Trae Young's going to be their savior like Steph Curry was for Golden State, that Mark Jackson's going to make them the Warriors, but we can't forget that they're New York Knicks. So Do I think Trae Young will be a bust? Not necessarily. Do I think Trae Young will be an all-star? It's debatable. I think he's going to be a solid enough starter to back up NBA player. He'll have a long career because of his shooting ability, and for a 9 pick you can't really call that a bust, but again, no, I don't think he's going to be a steal. But there's no way, unless the Knicks get a top 5 pick, that they're passing on this guy. So with the 10th pick, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to take Janan Musa from Bosnia. And just hear me out right here. So the 76ers have had a lot of success with overseas players. Obviously Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Dario Saric have all been great, and Musa is the best European scorer I think I've ever seen. Even from the time he was 15 years old, he was an elite scorer. And honestly, I think that the Philadelphia 76ers could use him as a scorer off the bench. I think that Musa can come right in and score big in the NBA. Musa's one of those players that can go anywhere between 10 and probably 25 in this draft. I think he's a good fit in Philadelphia, and I honestly do think that the Philadelphia 76ers, they're in a position where they can take a risk. And I honestly think he's got the highest ceiling of any player left in this list. He's proven he can score big against professional competition, and I think he'll be a great scorer in the NBA. Overall, game's lacking a little bit. Not the best defender, not the best athlete, but he can put the ball in the basket, and I can't see him not doing that in the NBA. So I know I said I was going to talk about the steals in this draft, and this video actually was going to be about 18-19 minutes long. And I might actually go make a separate video about the steals in the draft, but I will do that a lot closer to the NBA draft. But I'm going to talk about one player that's really just kind of intriguing me, and that's Isaac Bonga from Germany, a guy who I've already made a video on. He's a 6'10", people say point forward, but I've never seen him play off the ball, so I'm going to say a 6'10" point guard. He's quick for a 6'10" guy, but he doesn't have elite athleticism at the NBA level. He can shoot a little bit, but he's not an elite shooter. Isaac Bonga is realistically going to go from 45 to 60, and he could be a steal of the drafts if he's picked that low. Bonga may not play an NBA game. He's probably going to be either a draft and stash back to Europe or a draft and D-League player. But to be honest, Bonga is one of those players. He's got such good height, he's got such good court vision at that height, he's got point guard skills at 6'10", that he could honestly be a steal in this draft, and is probably the most intriguing prospect in this entire draft for me personally anyway. So anyway, that's the video. This is just my mock draft. I will probably do 1 or 2 more of these coming up towards the draft, and thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.